Saints to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in! What a comeback!
All right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. This one is going to be a fun one. So we put it out to our fans on Twitter. And Corey, I'm going to let you go ahead and give a proper shout out to the person with the idea for this episode.
Yeah, so we put it out there on Twitter. You know, we're hitting this kind of dead period between minicamp, offseason type shit, wrapping up, and the beginning of Saints training camp, which is for a while away. Our friend Daniel from the UK, Procrastinatus on Twitter. Him and his buddy MC Kappa, Michael on Twitter, have a podcast called The Saints, the City, and Me. And so he replied to our, throwing it out there. Hey, what do y'all think would be some fun topics? Or if y'all have any questions y'all want answered. And so, he hit us up with what is actually pretty thought-provoking. The suggestion, and what we're going to talk about here, is a what if. And that being, so...
Well, let's say this. Let's leave out some of the low-hanging fruit. Everyone has talked about what would have happened if the Saints had drafted Mahomes. Yeah, they didn't pass him up. We're going to leave that one out.
But to hone in on what if is, it's basically what...
It has to be something that could have actually happened.
What if a key moment in Saints history did not occur? So, leave out the low-hanging fruit, right? Like the Mahomes, or you can't go with, what if...
What if the officials would have thrown the flag? None of that.
Have the no call. What's right. Well, we win the Super Bowl. That's obvious. So but yeah, what if is your biggest, not biggest, but your most interesting? What if this one thing?
Well, you know what?
Didn't happen.
Let's start off with you because I have a feeling yours is going to be the biggest and most interesting. What you got?
Yeah, like we said, we're trying to merge our format down to the 30-minute quick-hitting episode, but this one particular what if might excite these two old guys, Max and Nick, just enough to make this one a little bit longer. But and it's more recent vintage, very recent vintage.
Just get on with it. What you got?
I'm getting there. Let me set it up, Max. God, come on. Yeah, so not last year, but the year before, when we had Jameis coming in for the first post-Breeze season, and here we go. We think Jameis can get us there. He goes down. Devin White, horse collar, dirty play.
Well, we'll set the stage. What was our record at this point?
We were 5-2, Max.
5-2.
And I'm not saying...
What were Jameis's stats at this point?
You took the words out of my mouth because I'm not here to say that Jameis was Aaron Rodgers or Jameis was lighting up stat books or that his touchdown interception ratio was anything even fun to look at. You just kind of turned a blind eye to it at that point in the season. But my what if, let me set it up here, and then I'll get into why it's an interesting what if for me. My what if is, what if Jameis Winston does not get hurt when he does in that season? We're 5-2 the moment he gets hurt. And again, I find it interesting not because this is a stand for Jameis the prolific passer. I'm not saying Jameis was the end-all, be-all, that he was going to have 30-plus touchdowns and 5,000 yards passing.
Instead of telling us what you're not standing for, tell us what you are standing for.
I'm standing for if he doesn't get injured.
Go out on the limb, man. Give us a hot take. Stand on a hill and die on it. Just stand on Caden Ellis Mountain and tell me what you
do. Do your millennial thing.
I have died.
Super Bowl?
Don't label me, Nick.
Will we win the Super Bowl?
Oh, no. God, no. I don't think we win the Super Bowl, but I think we...
Are we winning a playoff game?
Possibly.
No. I want to hear
that's a possibly. Possibly. That's a take.
There's no conviction with that. Possibly.
So who won the Super Bowl then?
So in case anyone's wondering, this is
Rams,
the
correct?
Appease Max podcast. But no, I think he puts us in a...
Let's walk through what you're saying.
So
this is a year the better teams were the Rams, I believe.
The Rams won the Super Bowl that year.
The Bucks, the Rams beat them at Bucks. So the Bucks would have been in our path. Who else? Who else did they beat? Green Bay was in the playoff.
And that was
Bay,
that was
yeah, you're
was
right.
that was
It
that
was
the,
a pretty even.
that was
playoff.
Chauncey's last year, the ownership of Tom Brady year, correct? Even without Jameis
It
in those games, right? Because we didn't have him last year.
Well, no, it was his last year.
No, it was his second year with us.
Second year with us, it was his no.
it was the year
His second year removed from the Bucs.
that was the year we beat the Bucs
Correct.
twice.
Second
Correct?
year from the Bucks is what I'm saying. His own.
No. I'm saying Chauncey. We had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on our team.
He was on the team.
That was the year that we beat the Bucs twice, where Garner Johnson did the pose in front of Brady. That went viral.
No, that
was the last-
No, that was when Dennis Allen was DC subbing for Sean Payton, who
You're
had
right.
COVID.
You're right.
It was the year before.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. The what if is a what if for me because I'm not saying Jameis was
I
crazy,
want a hot take,
crazy
man.
good.
You love hot takes. Give me something.
I think the team was showing at least the beginnings of continuity. In
Well, we
that
crushed
moment.
the Packers with Jameis, right? Wasn't necessarily
That was the
Jameis.
game that God completed the pass to.
No, that was not that game. That was a different game.
opening game. We
Jesus,
played.
I was at the game. This is the one in
We played in
Jacksonville.
Florida. In
Post
Florida.
Ida.
Correct.
We looked like we were going to win the Super Bowl against
Deontay Harris
the
at the
Packers
time,
in
not Hardy.
Jackson.
Deontay Harris.
With
went
the
up to
game in hand, he threw a bomb to Deontay Harris. Before that, he had about 100 yards, but he did have the touchdown.
So here's the thing. Again, it's not a Stanford Jameis take. It's just more of the team was showing continuity. Dennis Allen, like it or not, I mean, at that point, is a win ugly coach. And,
Well, he wasn't the coach.
He wasn't.
God damn it! I keep those Jameis
This is
years
good,
merge
though.
together.
Keep going.
This is Sean Payton's last year.
It's a Sean Payton.
We come out blazing. You're
This is Sean
100%
Payton's last
right.
year. Yeah, we were showing continuity, which was encouraging. You kind of, I at least had the feeling that Peyton, and because I do remember Peyton being the coach, Max, you're right about that. But
I know.
I'm so geared to Allen now. But Peyton gave me the feeling that in his evil genius way, in his super control freak way, he was really holding the reins back on Jameis in the first 4 games of the year. I think in that game, particularly before the injury, you saw Jameis a little bit more comfortable, opening up a little bit, which, again, doesn't mean that Jameis was going to be a Pro Bowler or MVP. It just showed that maybe Peyton had the quarterback he needed to start opening up his playbook as the season progressed. And that coupled with the defense that year, that was one of the years
defense
that,
was elite.
That Allen's defense started to take root. DeMario was all over the place that year. We had Gardner Johnson doing his thing. We had Lattimore being Lattimore. The defense was the only reason that, that team actually gave you any kind of, I don't want to say hope. That's a strong word with that type of season, but
So it was just like last year, too.
I think it was. That's where I stand.
Let me say this.
I just think
Sean Payton was like the governor on the go-kart that me and friends used to ride around with in our neighborhood when we were like 9, 10, 11 years old. It was the governor that kept us from killing ourselves. Sean Payton was the governor that kept Jameis from throwing 5
And let's just say this. When
And
have you
I-
ever known
here's the
Sean
thing.
Payton to do that?
and
Right.
and here's
That's
the,
not his style.
That's not his thing
This
at
is
all.
why this is an interesting what if, because I agree with y'all on that. And I found it interesting the methodology that Peyton was taking with this new to the Saints QB.
Okay,
Jameis
pause
had
real quick.
Tons of
What are we
experience in the
actually
NFL.
saying? What if Jameis doesn't injure? What happens?
That's what I want to know.
Let's
Okay.
say, where do you think? How does
It
that
has to be a
change the
dramatic
season?
shift.
Right. What is it?
Yeah,
What happens?
I think instead of so here's my
What's the shift?
the biggest shift is that we
It has to be it has to be something big, though. It can't be, we would have won one more game.
I look at this topic and we can that's the beauty of this topic, and thanks again, Daniel Procrastinatus on Twitter. Y'all go give him a follow if you haven't, and also follow Saints and City and Me. Great podcast.
Okay, you plugged him
Listen to
already.
it. No,
Give
we're
us
gonna
the-
plug the shit out of him. I'm plugging him again.
What we got?
The beauty of this topic is that we can each kind of take the what if where we want to. I take the what ifs in terms of
So you wanted a meaningless what if?
hey Nick, you think Max is gonna let me finish my thought here or what? Come on.
Let's hear it. Okay, Max, quiet.
No,
Let's hear it.
And I'm about
Where
to
you
wrap.
going?
I'm about to
Don't
wrap up
dance
my
around it. Spit it out. What we
I'm
got?
about to wrap up my thought because y'all have to get to y'all's too. But I look at mine as projecting not just that season, but projecting out further. There's so many. It's the butterfly effect. Of
Okay,
a
but
if.
what
So
did we miss out
I'm
on
get-
because of him getting hurt?
I'm getting there.
You're dancing around the topic, dude.
I'm not-
You're
no, I'm-
filibustering.
I'm exploring the topic, which I think is fun.
We'll say something. Don't
Okay,
dance
so
around.
You don't have the
year
patience
one,
for it.
Just to summarize, year one, did we finish 9-8? That was the first 17 game season.
That's what I'm saying. I
8,
don't
9 or
know.
9-8.
I
What did we
think-
finish? I can't remember. We started 5-2.
Oh, what did we
We
finish?
fell off a cliff. We all know that. I think we finished
Was that a 16-game season or
9.
17,
I think we.
first
I think
one.
we finished 8 and no
8 and
9 and
9.
8. 9 and 8, right?
and missed the
I'm
playoffs?
looking
And missed the playoffs. If
I
remember.
blocked that year out of my.
Yeah, Ian Book ended up starting. Taysom
That was
started some
horrible. Yeah.
games.
We were 9-8.
9 and 8. Missed the playoffs. So after
We
Jameis got hurt,
absolutely
we went
make the
4,
play. We absolutely make the playoffs if he stays healthy.
4 and 6 after he gets hurt. Okay.
So you're saying we absolutely make
Absolutely
the
make the playoffs.
absolutely
And what
make the
is
playoffs.
what does it lead to after that? Do we beat? Let's just.
It depends on who we get matched up with in the playoffs.
Right.
Because I can say we definitely make the playoffs. I'm not predicting what seed we would have been.
That's
which-
fine.
I
Because
think
saying
the
we
Bucs-
may definitely make the
If we
playoffs
would
is more
have,
than
look,
you
if we
were
would
saying.
have ended up playing,
It's
against,
probably at Bucks. Is how it would have
then,
shaken out.
like,
Probably, yeah.
We
And we blanked them 9-0.
Right.
yeah.
So, I'm saying
we
that's-
could have won a playoff game. We could have advanced in the playoffs. And can you imagine like Jameis going back against his old team in a playoff game?
It'd be great.
in Tampa Bay.
Beat
Like
Brady, that would
with
have been
With
something.
that defense, that's
For
a
sure.
win. That's a win. I mean, it's hard to bet against Brady in the playoffs, but like that's a winnable situation.
I guess what we're getting at is stand
And-
on the
and-
hill and say, this is what I think we missed out on.
Well, that's what you want me
because
to
of
do.
this.
But like I'm saying, yeah, we missed out on a playoff year because he got hurt for sure. That's number one.
And then last
But
year,
it's-
what happens?
But it's the repercussions of if we had made the playoffs with Jameis, if he's healthy, then you're talking about him definitely performing better going into last year. I mean, now his injury last year was so fucked up. Like some people said it was something, some people said it was nothing. Hey, there you go, something or nothing. But like some people were like his whole back was wrecked. There's no way he could have actually played. Other people said that's not that bad of an injury. It was a whole charade.
Some people say he refused to play because of the offensive line being injured.
So I mean,
a lot of things were out there.
I
that's why this
defer
is-
to our medical friends on
so
this
that's why
one.
this is a butterfly effect topic because winning is an elixir to so many different ills along the course of a franchise's existence. So if you win a playoff game against Tom Brady and the Bucks,
So you're
in
saying we
their
win
house,
a playoff game if he stays healthy?
Yeah, I'll go on a limb. So we
Okay.
win one playoff game if he stays healthy, and then
That's what we were looking for.
So fine, there you go, Max. Yeah, there you go.
And you
But-
mentioned things
so if
going
we-
forward. So is Jameis our starter
Right, that's
today?
that's what I'm saying. If he just simply does not get injured, I don't think Derek Carr's in the picture.
Is that good or bad?
I think it's bad because I think we needed a switch. I think because I will say like as much as I love Jameis as a person, his attitude, his personality, his story, fighting through adversity, Jameis 101, like Max said earlier last episode. I think that
So you're saying, what if would have happened if he got injured? Thank God he got injured.
maybe I am.
Okay.
I mean, I might be saying that.
I'm just
actually.
checking, making
you know,
sure.
it's like because I'm not a big fan of like the tank. I'm not a big fan of like let's tank to get a better draft pick. And I got friends who are just like, if we're not winning everything, I don't want to come in fourth. That's bullshit. Like fuck coming in fourth. I want to win the championship, and if we're not winning the championship, we should tank. I'm not there. I like a season.
I'm not there either, but I
like
think
a
the
season where we
playoffs is a
win.
very big thing. If
Yeah.
you were going to say
Like-
we might not make the playoffs, then to me
Oh
it's
no,
stupid.
but that would be a tepid take. That would be terrible.
If you're in the playoffs, you have a chance. I don't care how good of a team you are. You have a chance. It's football. It's one game. We all know how that can go.
It's, the
The
best,
Giants won 2 Super Bowls.
The best saying ever.
They
is
should have none.
You get to the playoffs, it's your record 0-0. Doesn't matter what happens after that. I mean, yeah, exactly. Steelers, all the teams that wear white throughout the playoffs, their white jerseys the whole time in the playoffs, make the Super Bowl. Those are the best teams, stories wise. I'm not saying we would have been that, but I think we could have hung with the Bucks in a playoff game that year.
Here's what I'll say.
But I think it's a good what if to me because it would.
It would definitely change where we are today.
A good
I
what
think we
if
can
is
agree on that.
is a land altering change,
Really?
whether good or bad. It would absolutely
There's a chance
change.
Jameis is still here potentially.
Well, he is still here.
Well, starting where
He's-
Carr is not here.
Again, winning makes you feel better. It makes injuries go away magically. It makes guys come out of the IR. So if he wins a playoff game, I don't think he has. If he
I
does,
would have gone with a what if of what if he didn't get injured last year ahead of the year before.
the injury last year was so like
We make the playoffs last year probably too.
Agree.
I'll give him a game or two where he's probably not injured, especially those games where we weren't preparing and he went out of or was just struggling horribly
Yeah.
with the back.
that's what I mean. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint last year. Just the year before that was
But
so.
we are not a
pinpointed.
good team. We are not a contender, in my opinion, with Jameis. So
Right.
for me, yeah, maybe he doesn't get injured. Maybe we go 10-7. Maybe we go 11-6. Maybe we go 500 the rest of the way. He settles back where I think he was playing at, which is a mediocre level. Puts us at a 9-8 team or a 10-7 team.
It was such a late. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
from a 9-8 to a 10-7. Sorry, and I think 10-7 would have made the playoffs that year. And then you're going to the Bucks, and inevitably you would have had to go to the Rams. I don't think we run that gauntlet with Jameis. So we end up, maybe he wins a playoff game. I'll never say that.
Yeah.
We've had the Baker talk with you and Max's bet of
Love Baker.
Never bet on a single game because anything can happen.
Baker Mayfield is my favorite Carolina Panther.
Well, you were
time.
right about Baker and lost the bet. So that's
That's why I never take bets with Max. I never will take a
Time
bet
out.
with Max
Speaking of bets
ever
with
again.
Max, shout out to Adam.
Yeah.
So he's on, I think, his second or third
how's
bet
he
with me
doing
right now.
with betting
He's
with
not
you?
doing too well, but whatever. We'll leave it at that.
I've learned when you can win a Baker fucking Mayfield bet, like that's it for me. Sorry, man.
it just sucks when you nail what's going to go down.
Yeah,
and
I
you
predicted
still
it. I was like,
lose.
he's not a leader.
Anyway, we're veering off the
But
path.
okay,
Thank
but
you, Nick.
all I'm saying is
That made Caden Ellis Mountain a little bit lower for me. Thank you. But no, you're right. You're right. What
I
are you
do
saying?
think it would have probably made an impact that year. Maybe he plays all of last year and gets a break for being injured rather than not having 2 straight years of injuries, and we decide to keep that bad train going. I could see it changing
far
where
less
we're at
questions.
today.
But also,
I don't see any way Carr's not here if he becomes
do.
available as he did.
If he wins a playoff game 2 years ago, comes in last year, same shit happens, he goes out early. You don't think he's back?
There's a big assumption.
He
where
might
he's
be.
back anyway.
Hold on.
I mean, to start, where we're not like, we need a quarterback so bad.
Listen, I need to wrap up my what if because y'all have some to go with. But I think
Yeah, you
there's
definitely
a
went long.
big portion. Well, you said it to lead off like this is a good one. But the reason a good what if is one that has so many different tree branches. There's one big tree branch, a huge fucking limb that we haven't even talked about. Is that the year Jameis got injured was Sean Payton's last year. If you win a playoff game against the Bucks, say you even lose the next round on another no call or a really close game where like you
Is he
knew
still
you
here?
were better, is Sean Payton really retiring? Maybe he sees the juice. Maybe he wants to keep going. And if
I think Sean saw what he had in Jameis and in the quarterback room and said, I'm fucking hitting each
I
other.
think
Again,
he did
we
feel
don't
that way.
know.
I think y'all are both right.
We don't know.
I think you're both right. Max is right. The reason he was calling that way, I disagree with you in that he was calling it to ease him in the offense. I think he realized what he had.
Yeah.
And that's why he changed what he was doing, because he's a great coach. He knew, I can't go far letting him win or lose games.
So you
I'm
think
gonna lose.
the whole season would have
But-
played out the way the first 5 games did?
I don't think they would have.
No
I
way,
think
no.
we would have
No way, no.
digressed a little bit. I do think we would have made the playoffs. I agree with you there.
But I mean, like the play calling, like he would not have
I
expanded
agree.
the
I don't
playbook
think
at
it
all.
would
You
have.
don't think
No,
it would-
yeah, I'm saying I don't think
Okay.
it would have changed
Okay.
a lot. Maybe marginally.
I mean, I could see that going either way. I personally think it's expanded, but I
I
can see
do
the-
agree with you. I think he is probably still here.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because that game where we had to play Ian Book and the NFL postponed all these games leading up to 2 weeks prior and refused to postpone our game,
Right.
he
The
was
shit show
livid,
at Denver.
and he made it known. He said he was exhausted. This is BS. There's different standards here and there. That one is when I feel Peyton fell off the cliff and retirement became an option.
Again, like for me,
If he wins a playoff game, he is still here, I think.
yeah, because for me, Peyton, my take on Peyton, like for all of his faults, I mean, goddamn, the guy won a Super Bowl and got us about as
love him.
close as you can get. But like we dog him towards the end because he like lusted over players that weren't worth lusting over.
Because
and
he
all
made
that stuff.
mistakes,
He made mistakes,
doesn't mean
but like
he wasn't a really great coach for
But
the
here's
Lions.
I love him.
here's why I think Peyton kind of at that time wished it had gone like it's kind of like the Kobe Shaq analogy. Like Kobe got his championships with Shaq. Peyton had his championships and his close calls with Breeze. I really truly I believe Peyton wanted to win one without Breeze.
Correct.
And kind of like Belichick wanted to win one without
And he
Brady.
realized
I
he
always
couldn't.
told Max this
And he
for
wanted
years.
to burn down the NFL in the process and say, "See this, Roger? I can do it with or without your help. Mostly without
And he
your
looked at
help."
his quarterback room and said, I have Jameis Winston,
Correct. That also happened.
But his ego
Trevor
wanted
Simeon, and Ian Book,
But listen,
and I can't
this
burn
is
down
what
the
it was.
league.
Peyton
at the end of the year. That's what he said.
is a uber competitive egomaniac.
Yeah.
That's what makes great elite anything.
They're always
Okay?
urgently pushed to
Right.
do more.
He wants to win without Drew. He needs it.
Yeah.
He didn't win enough with Drew to be one of the great 5 or whatever of all time.
Yeah.
He wants that one without Drew to show I was just as much a part of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would be the same exact way. I did it with a great, and I did it with someone else.
The best
That was-
coaches are complete assholes.
Correct.
I mean, like him, Parcells, Nick Saban.
I'm just saying, I
yeah.
think he would have stuck around if he won a playoff game and tried to see it through a little bit further. After what happened in the injuries and the Ian Book coming in and being forced to do those things, I think he was like, I'm not doing this. This
It killed
uphill
him.
battle is too. It killed him. He wanted a break. I
Dude, him
believe-
in that press conference after that game,
God, he looked
was
tired.
defeated.
Right.
Yeah,
And you could see it. And that's when it
never
was on
seen
the
Peyton like that, and it made sense. It was his last press conference with the Saints after that. So okay, I'm glad we went down the road because that was the biggest like butterfly effect of my what if. So that's it for me on that one.
Are you
Nick,
sure you don't need more time?
I mean, I could talk.
We can't talk about Jameis a little more.
We've had it on Jameis, and again, it's not a Jameis.
Oh,
it's a
Jameis one of one?
It's a
I didn't
team.
think
It's
we
a
were
team.
going-
What if? It's a what happens with the team if Jameis the player doesn't
It's
get hurt.
fine. Your interpretation
You
is
know?
fine. I did not think we were going with what if something happened that would have made it worse for the Saints. That's just a different way.
Well, I went there with it. I think that's why the what if is interesting.
This is
Like,
why I wanted to lead off with him because I knew it was going to get
It's
that
an
reaction
interesting
out
what
of
if.
you.
It's
It's
like-
a good look. Shit would have
I'm not
changed.
saying like if there's no requirement that the alternate universe, if the what if didn't happen, there's no requirement that that's a good universe. You know,
There wasn't, and I'm saying-
it's like a
It's
like a
just funny
Shakespeare.
that you're arguing that it would have been a better universe.
It would have been better for 1 year, but then it actually would have had a end
I still
result.
think we have Derek Carr no
a
matter
negative
what.
well, if he's
result.
on the Peyton would still be here train, maybe that's a better universe. I don't know. But
I'd much rather Peyton with Carr than
I
than
would too. I always
Carmichael.
wanted that. Max
Oh,
had
we
that.
all would much rather that. Jesus
So-
Christ, it's not even a question.
But I don't know. I don't know if
All right.
Peyton survives the next year when.
Okay,
there's-
well let's move
But anyway,
on.
so
That one, that's
all right. So
big
I'm
enough
done with
butterfly
mine.
effect.
Like you asked if I could talk more. I could obviously, but Nick, what you got?
Mine's, I think, an obvious one. I think we ruled out doing the no call.
Yeah,
Did we
that's
say
We
that's
ruled
off
out the
limits.
no call. Yeah, that one.
'Cause
And
the
then
no
like
call's so
what if
obvious.
Breeze doesn't get injured because that's obvious.
that's low hanging fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we all, I think, most people who follow football think the Saints win that Super Bowl against the Patriots if that call doesn't happen. One of the weaker Patriots teams that beat the Rams.
Yeah, 100%.
The one for me is what if Greg Williams put a corner on Vernon Davis in the 2012 playoff game at San Francisco?
Oh God, no! I mean,
Continuing, we all love all the players that were trying to guard Vernon Davis, but they simply could not guard Vernon Davis on that day. And why we didn't pivot, I think they had 290 passing yards ish, and he had 180 of them.
You know what I like?
So
Max,
why?
is waking up in the morning and letting my neighbor just punch me right in the gut.
Oh God,
Isn't
that's
that
just
the
what
best? Where you
happened.
just wake up and you know you didn't choose violence, but the other guy did. I think Nick woke up today and was like, "I'm gonna do this to us."
It's
I mean, it's a
because
what if. It is a what if.
how good that team was is part of this because it's the best team
That's
we've
the
ever
best.
had.
So your
And-
what if is a little bit different than mine because your end result is a fantastic result as
Y'all-
opposed to
Well,
mine.
his end result is something great
like Super
would have
Bowl.
happened.
We win the Super Bowl. We killed the
Your end
Giants.
result was we might have won a playoff game.
We beat the Giants
Well, and
by
Peyton
30
stayed-
that year. I
Peyton
think.
stays here
Going
and, like-
correct? Didn't we play the Giants at home and beat them by
we
30?
destroyed them.
And they would have come to the Dome in
We
the
would have
championship game.
destroyed
We
them.
would have killed them.
Yeah, that game was the most certain.
I've gotten it out of Roman. But that is the he didn't say it when we had him on the pod. He deferred to the Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
But the best, the most talented, the best team, the uncrowned champions.
I want to say the turnovers
Is
in
that
that game were
2011?
Yeah.
5-0.
That was episode 6 of our pod. We're far enough removed from it, so go give that one a listen.
you remember
if you're
when
listening here.
We had
Jimmy
5
Graham
turnovers.
went nuts?
This never happens in the NFL. You
Darren
were
Sproles.
-5, and we had the lead with a minute and a half to go, and we still didn't change the coverage on Vernon Davis. It makes no sense to
Now-
me.
I hate Greg
let me
Williams.
let me
for
ask you this. So, what if we put a corner on Vernon Davis? Are you talking about the play?
Well, time out. Yeah, he is talking about that. But what corner do you
in
want on
what
there?
corner?
What corner do you want?
Because like I'm not. I mean,
Because I don't trust anybody to guard Vernon
I'm not
Davis on that
putting-
day.
No,
you
no,
know.
no. But clearly we needed someone faster. He was just beating us with
Yeah,
slants.
but faster
I'm not
probably
putting-
equates to smaller at that point.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
fine with
putting
that.
Tracy
But-
Porter on Vernon
But
Davis.
Vernon Davis's game was speed more than it was
Oh
physical.
yeah, he ran a fucking
I don't know,
4.
like,
100%.
Dude, he ran a 4.38.
I know it was speed, but like
We were getting beat with speed. That's all I'm saying.
He was
it
a
was-
top 10 pick as a tight end for a reason.
All I'm saying is if it's not working, what is the risk of trying something
His
different?
speed and
to
weight
ask
produced
you, who's your
Tracy
guy?
Porter probably is who I would have put on him.
He would have gotten killed.
He would have gotten smoked, bro.
Killed. I mean,
Jabari was on that team, right?
Tracy Porter doesn't.
Jabari was he nicked up that game? I can't remember. He was on the team.
He played.
Smaller than Tracy.
we didn't
but he's
really have.
faster.
McKenzie was gone at that
Tracy's
point, right?
fast too.
Not like that.
Was Keenan Lewis on that team?
We couldn't even make the tackle,
No.
dude. Like he
No,
just ran
I mean,
away from Malcolm
look,
and Roman, who
I
we
know-
love as players. That's just a bad matchup. It's
But
not
I know-
fair for them. Or double him, bracket
Double
him,
him. I think-
do whatever.
I think change the
I think
scheme.
double is the
change
answer.
scheme because Roman had him like I mean it was pop on pop and the
Even
play.
if it's a linebacker underneath, safety over
Yeah.
the top, whatever. There's come on,
because
there's a million coverages you could run to stop
the play
the
where
tight
he
end.
punched it in over the goal line. If a corner's on him, that's not even a contest. Like the game's over
Yeah,
the second
I-
he catches the ball.
I agree with Corey
He's
on that,
tackled.
and I think
No, he's not.
I
He's
think,
tackled.
Roman couldn't tackle him. Roman was on the shoulder.
Roman
Yeah,
couldn't
Roman
catch
could-
him. He was beat.
I
No,
think,
no,
I think the
Roman was
better-
in position to
Come
pop
on,
him.
I think the better way to frame it is you just said it, Nick. Double him.
Bracket.
Fucking double him.
You know what their second? You know what Crabtree had that game? 25 yards.
Yeah.
You know what? You know the second leading receiver was in that game?
was
Frank
about to
Gore, 38 yards.
I was going to say, I'm trying to even
No,
think.
Vernon
had
Davis
nothing.
was the guy.
They had nothing. You got to stop one
mean,
guy.
And then Alex Smith
fucking
hit us with the
Smith
20
killed us
yard.
That,
the QB.
that was the most unexcusable play of the game. How you let him run for that long?
Well, no, the inexcusable play was the Vernon Davis, the long play.
because they kept
the
doing
final
it.
touchdown?
They kept doing it. He's
only thing-
right. He's right. They kept doing it.
The only thing that was working was Vernon Davis.
Our players needed to be in better
Why?
better position. It's just like the reason Greg Williams would never double anybody or bracket or anything like that is because the man he was perfect for Sean Payton. Both egomaniacs. Williams could not help but run a Williams defense, blitz all the time, or at least be in position to blitz.
Well, that's why we
'Cause
won a
if-
Super Bowl with him. He's two egomaniacs, and they were
Yeah,
at the top
the,
of the game.
the stars
those 2 years.
aligned.
Corey, you can also do that and double a guy. It's not that out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
You have to take chances outside,
can,
but
but
you
it-
can double the guy who's killing you.
Yeah, and
I'm-
to your credit, you're right. Like if
I'm
if it
firmly
was a
on
team-
we should have doubled him as opposed to just putting a corner on him because I think he beats a corner on that day. He was
Yeah.
huge and he was as fast as the corners.
because even
It's
if
the
the
best game of his career.
even if the corner can stay with him step
well,
for
he was a top 8 pick.
Look, let's just say this. A corner. Okay, let's even say we had a bigger corner than Tracy Porter, Jabari Greer that year.
yeah,
if
but
the
it's probably
corner-
slower and he's not keeping up with him.
If the corner stays with him, let's just say a corner stays with him step for step. The size. If
the
you're saying
route that killed us in that game was the slant. I think a quarter could stop the slant, staying inside.
But here's the thing: the way Vernon was playing that game,
he was awesome.
when he catches the ball, the first thing he's doing when the corner tries to wrap him up is getting rid of that corner.
He's a
he was just-
6'3", 250
Like-
pound tight end who ran a 4.38 at the combine and was picked in the top
Like
8.
that
The
cornerback
guy
is
was
turning
a fucking unicorn.
And I agree
Now,
with
to your
all of
point,
that.
he did nothing other
He
than
is
that
not a
game.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He was a very good player for a long time. And he was amazing that day. Talented as all hell. Really good player. He was not Randy Moss. He was not. This is a guy that was defended in the NFL for years.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
a 6'7".
To your point, he should have been doubled.
Correct. Something has to change.
Yeah.
We stuck with the same plan the whole
Yeah.
way. I don't understand shaking it up.
Stubbornness, man.
It may have still happened. I'm not saying it wouldn't have. I'm just saying
Yeah.
Try
I mean,
something different.
try something different when you
And-
need
agree.
He
You know-
had 68% of their yards.
Jesus.
And here's the thing for me, when you look at that offense that year, and especially that game, like who, like name me a better offensive player on that field, because there wasn't one. And so when you look to the teams that do win Super Bowls, the teams that get there year in and year out, I keep going to Belichick. What did Belichick do? He took away your best player. So if we would have had that mentality, like I don't care what defense you run,
He was their
take
only
away
player.
take
The only
away the
one.
best
The only
guy.
one.
I don't care if it's man, zone, bracket, double. If you take away their best player in that game, we go nuts.
Saints
We go
win the Super
absolutely
Bowl
nuts.
a couple weeks later.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
We didn't take away their best player. We
Again,
tried to be cute. We tried to be.
I don't think anyone's won a minus
You know.
5 game.
Yeah,
We were
you're right.
minus
You're right.
5 with the lead with a minute and a half to go. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's when you change it up. I'm saying it should have been long ago because the one guy who was killing us all game, big play, I think it was 7 for 180, 2 touchdowns. He was the guy that was crushing us.
Here's a smaller what if. What if Pierre Thomas doesn't get knocked out on that first
Oh,
drive?
a good point. Because
I don't think it matters because Drew went 480, 4
No, no, and
touchdowns.
Sproles and Jimmy went bananas.
But it's not
Brian,
always a good thing.
Brian.
Two special teams turnovers. I don't think Pierre hurt us from scoring. I don't.
I think he changed the flow of the game.
I think he changed the flow of the game.
Because it's not a good thing to go 480 in a playoff game. That is not a good thing. You don't want your quarterback throwing for that many yards in a playoff game. If he's throwing
Well, it
for
was out of necessity.
80,
Yeah.
it's out of necessity, and something went wrong. If your quarterback is throwing
Correct.
for
The
260,
turnovers went
320,
wrong. Not
and it's-
being able to move the ball.
and if Pierre's in there,
Pierre's the one who had the worst turnover of the game.
But because he got concussed. I mean, he was knocked out the
It
ball.
was the first drive. It was the first
He
drive.
got
We were on
knocked-
their
Dante
2-yard
Whitner.
line.
It
The
was
ball
Dante
was on the
Whitner.
2-yard line.
He turned the ball over because he was unconscious.
Fair enough, but it's still on him.
Well, it's on the helmet to helmet.
It was a helmet to helmet.
It's
But
on the
look,
helmet to helmet.
That's a minor thing.
But I
His
think-
what if?
Yeah.
Look, honestly,
a
what
good
if
what if.
Greg Williams fucking just said, "Hey, let's take away their best player instead of being stubborn and trying to
swallowed
keep
his
doing
pride
what he's
and
gonna
pulled
do."
a
Hey,
Belichick
Jabari or Tracy, you have Crabtree by yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't let this guy beat us anymore.
Yeah, like
it's too much.
Put Roman and another cornerback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Put Roman and Malcolm.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Do both of them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Leave. Alex Smith couldn't throw a deep ball for his life in San Francisco. Why are we worried about a deep safety in that situation? We were
Exactly.
playing
I
that.
know,
think
that's
it's
a good point.
I think it's a fair statement to say Greg Williams' game plan cost us Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That year.
Greg Williams' arrogance and stubbornness
Yep.
cost us the Super Bowl.
What a dick.
I mean, we almost overcame 2 special teams turnovers.
No,
3 other turnovers.
it's an amazing achievement that we
That's
were
how good that
leading
team was.
that game with 2 minutes
Yeah.
left. It's
That team
unreal.
was so good. It should have overcome that if we
should've.
just would have
Yeah.
been.
It almost did too, which
it's
is
a foregone
just-
conclusion too. Yeah, y'all were right. We win the Super Bowl, go to the Dome.
We beat the shit out of that Patriots.
We just-
it wouldn't have been close.
We
It
would have
been a
crushed it. We would have
25 point win.
steamrolled everybody else.
We
It
beat
just-
them that year too, I believe, by about 20.
God, that team was so fucking.
That was that year. You're right. That was they threw the white flag in that year.
Yep.
No. That was the Super Bowl year, the 2009 year, in the Superdome, where basically Brady and Belichick were on the sideline with 14 minutes left in the game, just like, we're done. And he put
It
it
was
back up
similar
there.
that
That's
year,
a different
though.
year. Yeah, it
Was it
wasn't
not?
to that level,
Similar.
though. That 2009 team
What was the score of that game?
We beat them convincingly. But anyway, we could go down game by game of that year because it was fun, right? But all right, thank you, Nick, because that turned. I mean, we peeled our skin off for a little bit going down that road, but it was a good ending.
It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It opened up some
but-
old wounds.
But you're right. We were right there. We could have done it. Max, what is your what if?
Yeah, my initial thought was to go with the low-hanging fruit of what if the Saints had, I guess, traded up one spot and taken Patrick Mahomes. But you know what? That's too easy. I'm going to go with something that's relatively recent. It's fresh in our minds. What if Sean Payton doesn't leave Michael Thomas in the game in Week 1 in the 2020 season when we're up on the Bucs? It's garbage time. He stays in the game, gets a high ankle sprain on one of the last plays of the game, and that sets off this chain reaction to where Michael Thomas basically has played, I don't know, five or six games in the last 3 years.
So set the stage a little bit more.
I text you
with-
before that happened.
I know.
I text you that. Why is Kamara and Thomas in the game right now?
No.
I
We were going
text you
back.
that.
We were going back and forth on it. We were on the same
This is,
page.
and I said, this is the Peyton ego. This is his crutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he wants to just bury you. Wants
Yep.
to put his boot on your throat.
And
shove
it
you into the
ended
ground.
up derailing a possible Hall of Fame career because, look, in spite of what anyone tells you,
Look
Michael
at our
Thomas
record
is
that
not
year
making.
without Michael Thomas.
Look, Michael Thomas is
the
not
league.
making the Hall of Fame now. Like, that is done. He was already. He was. It was a razor thin margin to begin with because he came into the NFL already at the age of 23 when he was drafted.
He was going to make it at that pace.
At that pace, he was going to make it.
think he still
But the
has
last 3 years,
chance.
he's out.
He's not making it.
Nick and I have talked about this numerous times, going back and forth. And look at DeAndre Hopkins' career for a comparison if you want to see what a Hall of Fame pace looks like for someone who I think is a year younger than Thomas, yet has a couple thousand more yards.
And
he
twice
might
as
not
many
make the
touches.
Hall of Fame.
He's making the Hall of Fame.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's
He's
not a
five-time
slam
All-Pro.
dunk.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
But back to the original point, it's like Michael Thomas was on a probable Hall of Fame trajectory given the improvement year over year from his rookie year till that 2019 season when he was the Offensive Player of the Year.
Bigger than that, because at the end of the day, this is team sport. We still finished 13-3 that year
Yeah.
without Michael Thomas. We got in the playoffs.
And the
We
biggest.
lose to the Bucks, correct?
No, this is the Rams, bro. Right?
That was the no-call game? I thought it was the Bucks game.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. It was 2020, yeah. 2020. Yeah, it's the
Or was
Bucks. We lose to the Bucks in the playoffs.
Right.
Which one
So
was
instead of depending on Jared Cook to make that catch and not fumble, maybe we're depending on Michael Thomas,
Well,
who is not fumbling and not dropping it.
We had limited options in that game.
Right.
And we had the game controlled. Obviously, the fumble changed the whole game, and
That team
Breeze had to
was-
start taking chances.
That team was
But
13
you're
and
not-
3?
Huh?
That team was 13 and 3?
That team was badass.
I
bro.
think they were 13 and 3. Check that. This would have been 3 years ago.
we
the
had
Bucks-
a home playoff game against the Bucks, COVID year, Superdome. None of us could go. We all watched it on TV. Timeout.
This is Chauncey year.
Shout out Deontay Hardy / Harris, who went fucking ape shit in the first quarter of that game and tried to win it by himself. You remember that? Had a return for a touchdown and a second one called back in the first quarter. But that is also the game where Jared Cook went full on.
Well, you're talking the playoffs. And my point in the playoffs is we controlled that game the way we had to, but we were conservative because we didn't have Thomas. We
Right.
didn't take a lot of chances. Soon as Cook fumbles and the game flips, we have to take chances, and we're throwing to a Thomas that's hopping all over the place.
Yeah, so we were
He was terrible. He
12
wasn't.
and-
He had 0 catches in that playoff game.
so
Zero.
I'll
12
go
and
out on
4
a limb.
regular season.
I'm
Sorry,
going to go out
12
on a
and 4.
limb and say if Michael Thomas does not get hurt in week 1 of the 2020 season, that Saints team wins the Super Bowl.
Good.
That was our team, the revenge for the no call. We were going to go.
I think
we were
it's-
all fired up, and the whole thing was we're getting, just jacked up on social media going, we're going to rain hell on the NFL, fuck Goodell, fuck the NFL, fuck all this. That team, if Thomas is part of the equation for the back half of the year and also the playoffs at 100%, that team wins the Super
What did the
Bowl.
Packers go that year, though? What was their record?
They were the number 1 seed. But
I know.
The
What
Bucks
was
wouldn't
it,
beat
though?
them.
Do we beat them at Packers? That's really the only question.
Yeah.
That's
think
really
so.
the only question. Because
Breeze was he was there.
That was that 6 touchdown, the 52 to 33
Yes, the
win.
Camara 6 touchdown game on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
That
no
team was
Thomas.
great. The
No
team was
Thomas. Camara has 6 touchdowns in that game. The last time Camara has played a fucking game, by the way.
Beat
Think
the
about that team.
38 to 3 at Tampa.
So
he had a 3-touchdown
add,
game last year, and it was all of his touchdowns, I think.
add Michael Thomas to that equation, that team at that point.
I agree. It opens everything up because at this point, you and I, Max and I, had a bunch of discussions about whether Breeze not being able to throw deep really mattered. My stance was always it doesn't matter when you're able to do what he does.
It really doesn't matter if you have Michael Thomas.
But when you have Michael Thomas, that makes his job 10 times easier
Yeah.
because he's so big. If he can see Breeze in a straight line of sight and there isn't a corner undercutting him,
It's a
no
catch.
one's getting around him to stop,
Yeah.
defend a pass, nothing. His hands are out in front. It's over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
So it made Breeze's job 10 times harder, and it showed up when we were down in the Bucks game.
exactly.
Yep.
Where when
And then
we
you're
were
depending on Jared Cook
Right.
to make plays, which, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, one of the takes that frustrated me the most that year, and Breeze's years after that was, that year, but even before that, when he wasn't bombing it, was like he can't throw the ball deep. He's got a noodle arm. We need to get a stronger arm. I mean, God, like you just said, it's Drew Brees. He's one of one. He's the smartest guy that the NFL's seen
And
in
the
a
most
long time, at most accurate.
Now, I know he
So
got
if
injured.
you think that you need a Drew Brees to be the guy throwing a 50-yard dart to a post router in the end zone, then you just don't understand
You don't
the
understand
game,
football.
and you don't understand
Sorry.
our team and our coach at that point.
you need Drew Brees.
It's
You
like-
don't need the deep ball.
Yeah, and
Okay?
so that was the most frustrating take. It's like, if you want to complain about something, if we're not winning, if the offense doesn't look the way you want it to look, then do that. But don't put it all on Breeze's arm strength, on the total
Yeah,
But
pull
everyone was
of-
doing it,
yeah. And everybody
they
was doing it.
Maybe it's
And-
time for him to go. I'm like, you don't know what you're passing up on. This
Yeah.
is when he played. Even all those last years when he couldn't throw deep, in the games he played, he was top 5. Okay,
Yeah.
top 5 offense. We were top 5 in those games.
Yeah.
When Taysom came in when he got injured, we dropped down to like 10, 11. That was not Drew. Drew was
Yeah. Right.
top 5.
It's 'cause people
You don't need to throw deep.
Look, I firmly believe, and I'll circle back on everything we talked about today. I'm not going to circle back to the Jameis thing because that's just preposterous. But I will circle back to what Nick brought up with the whole, if we either put a corner or double Vernon Davis, that team wins the Super Bowl. And I'm going to follow it up with, if Michael Thomas isn't left in garbage time in week 1 against the Buccaneers in 2020, we win a Super Bowl. Like,
Do we
I
beat
will
the
die
Chiefs?
on that hill. I
For
will
sure.
die on Caden
We beat
Ellis
the Chiefs
Hill.
for sure.
What's that?
We beat the Chiefs for sure. That's a
Yeah,
tough one.
that's-
The only reason I
it's
say
tough,
this is
man,
a
but
problem.
win a Super Bowl is always a tough statement. I wish it would happen.
No, it takes luck. It takes
Pause real
but-
quick. what we know about the one I was talking about, we're going Giants at home next. Okay? We had proof that year.
You're talking 2011 still.
Yeah, mine.
We win that. We win that. Yeah.
Then we're Patriots, the weakest Patriots team to win the Super Bowl. This time we're talking potentially, we don't know what our record would have been without losing Thomas. At beating, we have to beat the Bucs at home. I think we do. Have to go to Green Bay and then beat Mahomes. You got to beat Rodgers, Mahomes back to back.
So come out. I am going to go ahead and say Michael Thomas staying healthy is worth at least another win, which maybe gives us the number 1 seed.
That's why I was asking their record. I think they won 14 though.
We won 13. I think we won.
No, they won 12.
We were 12 and 4.
I'm sorry, 12. I think we win at least one more. And maybe it's the tiebreaker. I don't know how it would have worked that year.
I think that matters. At home,
I think it does matter,
we beat the Packers easy.
It would have affected our seeding.
I think Michael Thomas is worth at least one, maybe 2 more wins. And honestly, the defense was, God, they were nasty.
Either way, the path is not Eli, average Patriots team. It's Rodgers, Mahomes.
Now
that's harder.
Our defense allowed some points.
Absolutely harder.
But they had some good games.
I believe in that team to win, though.
Yeah.
That was our team.
I told you, I think that was the best team that season. That's not better than the 11 team. No. But that was the best team that season.
Agree 100%. The 2011 team is better than the 2020 team or the 2019, 18 team, 19 team, whatever one it was with the no call. The 2011 team better.
It was better.
That being said, I like our chances in 2020 to win the Super Bowl if Michael Thomas stays healthy, and I think it's worth a win or 2. We get home field advantage. And we beat the
if we would have got home field advantage, I'm going to agree. I think on the road in Green Bay when the weather was bad for that game, it was cold. It wasn't bad. It was cold.
It was doable.
Keep in mind though, Kamara coming off 6 touchdowns a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah, nope. I think we have a great shot. I'm just saying that's a tough path.
I'd definitely be good with your scenario.
That team was equipped.
We absolutely come out of the NFC. Whether
that's the bottom line. We
Super
come out
Bowl,
of the NFC at that point.
Could have won it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway. Those were some good what ifs. Great topic. Thanks again, Daniel.
Daniel, thanks for the topic. That's a good one. We should probably wrap it up at this point.
The Saints, the City, and Me. Saints, City, and Me is his podcast. Now this was a good little exercise. And we're going to wrap it up. And, we'll see what other kind of topics we come up with.
We got a good one for the next one.
Yeah. Again, keeping this dead period rolling until training camp. But until next time, thank you for listening to another episode of the 28-3 podcast.
What a comeback!